everyone, I'm Matthew. Um, Welcome to the video. I am warning you guys, I'm going to be looking down at my phone a lot because I've kind of written a bunch of things that I want to talk about and things that are very important, and I kind of made a script a little bit. And yeah, so just don't forget because there's a lot of things going through my brain. But I also just want to say before I begin and make clear that everything I'm going to say in this video is only speculation and my thoughts and how I feel about the whole situation and what I'm hearing from the internet and the media and basically everything I've researched. So please don't hate and take what you want from this video. Don't only believe it because you can believe who you want and what you want. I just want to tell you how I feel and what I think and why I feel the way I do and why I feel something's kind of off, and just give you the information that I think you really need and to understand from this whole situation. So let's begin. I'll start by telling the story and basically what happened, and then I'll just get into everything. And I'd just like to say this whole story so far has only been told by one person and one point of view, but I'll talk about that later. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay. So if you're new to the story and this kind of scandal that's going on, and you're not familiar enough, or this is the first video you've seen, this story involves two people: James Charles, a 20-year-old beauty influencer that identifies as a gay male, and a 14-year-old boy named Ethan Andrews, or Ethan, I'm not really sure what his last name is, and he identifies as a straight male. So, and there is a reason why I added that part into the story, but that will be important later. So anyways, let's get into the story, and yeah. So Ethan claimed that him and his friends were trolling James on a live when his friends dared him to slide into his DMs, and shortly after, James started to reply, and not long into their conversation, it's claimed that James then asked to add Ethan on Snap and became friends on the app. He claimed that he didn't know anything but thought it was cool that an influencer with the platform he has was talking to him, and said, quote, not even in a clout way, that was just dope, unquote.
Everybody knows who he is pretty much. I was like, that's awesome.
He also claims that James asked him how old he was while they were talking, and he said that he was 14, but has provided no evidence or proof that he said that, which is first very weird. How it just happens that he just has no evidence of it and just works in that way, that he has no evidence that he said he was 14, and that he said that because, especially if I was in his position, I would make sure that I found out, like I took a screenshot and showed everyone that I said that to him if I was in his position. He has no proof, and the only proof he has is that he said it himself, but I don't believe that's enough proof because you can't really, I can say I said anything to anyone. It's not enough proof unless you have screenshots and pictures. But
You asked him how old you were, and when he told you he was 14 years old, you still continued to try to force yourself on a little kid.
anyways, he has provided no evidence, but he said he was. So, okay, but even just like listening to him and just seeing, it's very clear that he is not 14. Now, I'm not saying he's like way older than he's saying, but I'm just not sure if I believe he's 14. But I believe he's much older than he's saying. I don't know if it's just me, but I have never seen or met a 14-year-old that looks and sounds like the way he does, unless he's taking some sort of steroids or some kind of type of drugs. There's just no way that that kid is 14 years old. And even on his famous birthdays page, it says that he's 15 years old and born in 2004. Which makes much more sense. But also, him and his friend claimed that they didn't tell famous birthdays his that he is 14 years old, which doesn't really make sense because he said that they still have to go to LA, which you don't have to go to LA for famous birthdays. I know tons of people that are on famous birthdays that haven't even been to America yet, so that doesn't really make much sense. He claims that not much longer after they started talking, James started sending him nude photos and asking him to visit Los Angeles. But Ethan kept declining,
Wanting me to go to LA.
But when Ethan asked James to stop sending the photos, James threatened him, which honestly just doesn't make any sense because that's just kind of random that he would just randomly, like out of the blue, just threaten him and just randomly say that. And also, I'm sure that James has much better things to do than threaten a 14-year-old boy. And he also never said he was going to make a video or come out with anything exposing James for anything that James said or did. So this kind of just adds to the point that it was kind of random that he would just threaten him. Like, I don't know, like there would be no reason to threaten him because he never said he was going to expose him or make a video or do anything or cancel him. But recently Ethan has came out with several videos trying to expose and cancel him across many social media platforms, but many people are not believing it and saying it's for attention. But with that, it's basically the whole story and everything I've been able to find and everything Ethan has told the media. So like I said, it's been told by one point of view, which is Ethan's point of view. James has, since I've researched and done everything, which is April 29th, he has not said anything about the whole subject. But honestly, that's really, I know it's kind of a short story and there's not much about the story, but that's pretty much everything that has happened so far with like everything going on. But I'm just gonna get into my thoughts and just everything I feel about this whole situation. So I'm sure as I'm making this, new information will come out, but if you want to add something or I missed something or something new comes out, please comment and I'll pin it and make sure everyone sees it. But anyways, let's just get started. So I just want to say that the first weird thing I found out was that all the info on the story came out literally this week, and the whole situation happened 3 months ago, which is very strange. It's also very confusing, and something just felt really off about it, how he just randomly decided in June. Like, I'm not saying that I don't believe, but why would you wait 3 months for this whole thing? The first thing that made me question it was when he told James that he was 14 years old, but when people asked or questioned him, he somehow had no proof or evidence that he said that, and he just like happens to have no pictures. He also said in a missing DM, so I'm not really sure because I saw this on a video, but that he was 18 years old, but I'm not 100% because I saw it on a video like I said, and I'm not sure it's true, but honestly that really makes a lot of sense. Honestly, just knowing James or anyone, I don't think they would keep messaging a 14-year-old boy, especially if they're 20 years old. He obviously has bigger and better things to do and not waste his time with that. And also saying that he would just want to fly him out to LA, which doesn't even make logical sense. Why would you want to fly a 14-year-old boy out? Like, even if like a 16-year-old, why would you want to fly like that? Just honestly, to me, that doesn't make any sense.
Wanting me to go to LA.
And then I started to look at the DMs and I came to a realization. I'll insert a picture, but through the messages, there seems to be a lot of deleted messages and on Ethan's part, because it looks like James is just randomly saying things and answering random things by the way he's talking, and how he's just talking and things he's just saying, which just kind of seems off. And something about those screenshots and DMs just don't seem right, and how he's just talking and things he's just saying, which just kind of seems off. And something about those screenshots and DMs just don't seem right. And honestly, it just looks bad on Ethan's part, because it seems like there's a lot of misinformation and that doesn't really help him, and it proves that he could be lying about much more, and him saying he's much older than he is makes much more sense. So I don't know, I just kind of find that the missing DMs are kind of weird if you can see in the screenshots. But another thing I found weird was on a live stream or a podcast, James Charles was talking about things, and the conversation came up to where he said he hooked up with a hot TikTok boy from LA, which I'll insert a clip here.
Hooking up with the hottest guy from TikTok, actually, and
what's his at on TikTok?
I'm not gonna tell you.
I'm just
It was
like
like
2 strikes.
It was
right now.
great,
Damn
and
it.
I was like, he was like a DL guy or whatever, and I was like sucking or whatever,
What's the
and
DL?
then
What's the DL?
down low, like into
Oh.
guys, but like on the DL.
And then Ethan ended up asking James why he outed him and exposed him on the live, which then James states he wasn't talking about him, but another Romanian TikTok boy living in LA named Nick.
Texting him like, yo, like I think there's shade being thrown. Like, were you talking about me? And he was like, oh no, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking to some Romanian boy. And I was like,
Named what?
Nick. And
Which I think is Nick Austin.
yeah, but it's all good because he then said it was a guy named Nick from LA.
But after that, everyone, including Ethan and his friend, believed it to be Nick Austin, which has since been fake. But the thing I found weird about it is not only the DM conversation that seemed weird and unlike James to even talk like, but that James had stated he hooked up with him.
The hottest guy from TikTok.
And unless I'm wrong, you have to be at least with the person to hook up with them. And that Ethan has stated countless times that he never went to LA, and every time James asked him, he would decline. So that just doesn't make sense. And I haven't really thought about that. That's kind of weird how apparently he thought James was talking about him when, like, Ethan has made it clear to the public that he never went to LA and never wanted to and never intended on going. But it also just kind of seems like the DM might have never even happened. Maybe it was edited. Another thing I found very, very weird is how he never ended up mentioning the authority or the police. Um, they were never involved in this situation so far, which would be the first thing I'm pretty sure I would do or anyone would do, especially since he's making it such a big deal. I'm pretty sure that'd be the first thing I would want to do. But he should have gone to the police if it really bothered him this much, until he was on a YouTube live, and got asked and confronted about it. He then admitted to talking to the police and got the police involved.
To go to the police. It's everything is unhandled. We are going to the police. I'm just gonna say that. All right, we are going to the police.
Which is very strange why it had to come to him getting confronted on a live to talk about that, and not even just in general. The first thing he should have said was, I have talked to the police about this, but he didn't even mention that until a YouTube live came out like last night. I just feel like he shouldn't have come on social platforms before talking to any police or authorities. That his first actions was to come on social media and try to cancel him and get attention and not go to the police until he got confronted on it is just kind of strange, and I just feel kind of weird about that. I don't know, something just feels off. But also something else I found very strange was that he never once referred to himself as myself or Ethan, but as a TikToker or a public figure or something that was much bigger than he was, when he only has 300,000 followers, which I find kind of weird to refer to yourself as a TikToker or a public figure, since he is a 14-year-old kid that only has 300,000 followers. Which, I don't know, I feel like he's just trying to make himself seem much bigger than he is and get attention and get clout from it. And I don't know, just something about that in itself just seems weird. But this leads me to a huge problem, a very big issue that is very common, a very common thing that is just disgusting and just not okay. And should never be as common or ever happen. But let's get into it. So as I said, James identifies as gay male, and Ethan identifies as a straight male. Now, straight males taking advantage of gay males and the gay community is very common, especially on the social platforms, because it's an easy way to get attention and take advantage and create fake stories and publicity, and then the media and people seem to believe the stories and calling them names such as pedophiles.
James is a child.
And other names that are just not okay. And this is honestly not something new to James, because he has been involved in countless of these stories, and especially his big scandal with Tati last year, which has accusing him of the same things that Ethan is accusing him of. And Ethan also said how James tried to turn him gay or bisexual and manipulating him.
He's trying to make you think that you are something you're not.
Which I just don't believe and never will, because James himself in a video stated that he would never and never has taken advantage of straight males or tries to make them something they're not. And honestly, for Ethan to say that, just to accuse James of manipulating him, when honestly it probably is the other way around. But yeah, I would also like to say that yes, James has been in many scandals with men before in the past, and it's just a known thing that many boys will just say things and make up stories about him. And so I just feel like if James just said hi and they had a short conversation, I could see Ethan taking advantage of him very easily. That I could see him use him for an opportunity for clout and attention, and just make up like edits and just make up fake stories and fake things, which is just disgusting, but would make the whole situation honestly just make more sense. Like I said, it's a very common thing. This would also make sense for why the police or authorities never seem to be brought up or involved in this, but until he got confronted, he just kind of added that in. But also Ethan said that in another video, he doesn't want clout, but justice and help people come up with these stories. But he just seems to be making a bigger issue and problem, which in no way I'm saying this behavior is okay, no matter who you are. But if a couple nude photos is such a big deal, he could have easily gone to the police or authorities, but he decided to only go on social platforms and try to cancel him, which is weird, because the only other story I've ever heard about James in this same situation came out to be fake. And he also said he wanted boys and girls to come out with their stories, which is weird because he's gay, so I don't know what girls would be involved. But honestly, there's so much more in this video I've left out because I didn't want to make this a million hours long. But I kind of just talked about the main points and problems and why this information is important and what I want you guys to get from this and know. But if you guys would like a part 2 of the information that I left out and new information, because I'm sure there will be new information coming out, I would definitely make another video, but I hope this video is still relevant when it comes out. Honestly, I just feel you guys should educate yourselves because there is a way bigger issue than just the scandal. There is a way bigger issue than it seems, and it is also creating very dangerous stereotypes for the gay community to be taken advantage of in ways like this. But I just wanted to say that this whole thing just seems really off, and it just seems odd, and like there's some missing truth on Ethan's side. But anyways, have a great day, and I will see you next time I post, I guess. Bye, guys!